All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to the ASAP Afternoon Blitz, Friday, February 24th, 2023. I'm Chris Gonzo, joined by Jay McLovin. How's it going, Jay?
Hey, it's going phenomenally well, man. Phenomenally well. Again, man, another beautiful day out here. So no complaints on my end for sure. Unlike Russell Wilson, who apparently complained heavily and lobbied heavily per the Atlantic report that he wanted Pete Carroll and general manager John Snyder fired. Although he denies that report, but I can honestly see that happening. Consider the fact that their relationship was estranged even prior to week 1 of the 2022 season. Just incredible. Freaking incredible, man. I believe it. What do you think, Gonza, man? What do you think about all that craziness?
I say it probably happened. I don't because if you remember back, I mean, even before the season before he got traded, he wasn't coming out and saying, but people from his team were coming out saying he wanted to trade, he wanted out of Seattle, and that's not coming out from people from your team unless you're saying that's okay, or you'd be getting rid of people that's on your team.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because he, according to the Atlantic, again, Wilson's preferred replacement for Carroll was Sean Payton, who is now the head coach of the Denver Broncos. How crazy is that?
And here's my thing. So I do think it, and then because like you said, their relationship hadn't been great the last couple of years. And then I think Seattle made the right choice by getting rid of him instead of getting rid of Carroll. I mean, look what Seattle looked like last year with Carroll with Geno, and then look what Wilson looked like in Denver.
Absolutely. Now, to be fair, the attorney for Wilson did say that the entire story was fabricated. However, the Seahawks declined comment. Now, if you're declining comment, to me, that says emphatically that most likely it did occur. Otherwise, Seattle would be just like the attorney saying no, that was fabricated. But the fact that they're declining to comment on the situation tells me that most likely that probably did occur.
And to me, it's kind of funny that they say that he was wanting Sean Payton as coach there in Seattle, because you might be careful what you wish for, because now you have Sean Payton, and Sean Payton's coming in, and Sean Payton's already making it known that you're not going to have your trainers and your staff in the building, and probably ain't going to have your own damn office anymore. Sean Payton.
Yeah, he already put the kibosh on it.
He's going to come in and lay down the law. So Russ might be careful what he wished for, because he might not like the way Sean Payton operates things, because Sean Payton ain't just going to let him do whatever the hell he wanted to, like he was doing last year in Denver.
Yeah, sometimes, especially, as I would imagine some of these high-profile athletes, that have all the money and the power and the things that they want, they don't know what they have until they don't have. And I think, Russell Wilson, I think Nathaniel Hackett definitely gave Russell whatever he wanted and placated to him and all this. And sometimes when you placate to somebody to that level, you do more harm than you do good. And at that time, I think, that's where Sean Payton comes in, puts back the discipline, gets him back in order. And I think, truthfully, a guy like Russell Wilson needs a guy like Sean Payton, a guy that's not going to placate. Truthfully, I think Aaron Rodgers needs a guy like Sean Payton to not let him placate and do what he's doing. I think a guy like the Dallas Cowboys need a coach like a Sean Payton to instill discipline back in them, because, as you know, like I said, when Wade Phillips left, so did the discipline, and of course the penalties and everything else went amok. And I think you see the same thing in Denver when you got Hackett, who didn't instill discipline, and the thing that he should have been instilling in that team. Of course, the team plummeted pretty badly. So you need to have that discipline, and I think that's what Sean Payton's going to give them.
It just seems like the more and more you hear about Russell Wilson, though, that he's not. Like, everybody bags on Aaron Rodgers about not being a team guy and he can be difficult, but it seems like the more you hear about Russell Wilson, he's the same damn way. But it don't seem like a lot of people really get on him for it. Maybe it's because
I
he's
mean,
not out in
Russell
public about
Wilson
it.
and Aaron Rodgers, they go about it in different ways, but they still have the same type of issue, right?
Because I mean, if you look with all the stuff that's coming out about Russ, it don't seem like he's very much of a team guy. It seems like he's more of a eye guy.
Yeah. And I gotta tell you, I think it's time.
You know what
for
they say?
Green Bay to move on.
You know what they say? There's no I in team.
No, there is definitely not no I in the word team. That is absolutely correct, and that's the problem. It's okay if we're talking golf. It's okay if we're talking tennis or whatever. I mean, those are individual sports. But again, when you're in a team environment, it's a whole different monster. It's a whole different monster. But yeah, and again, I think, truthfully, I think, when you look at a team like Green Bay, I think it's time for them to move on from Aaron. I think it's time to get Jordan Love in there. With Russell Wilson, you really can't move on from Russell because you truly don't have anybody behind that that can carry the torch.
But with Green Bay, I think that's part of their problem. I don't think they truly believe that Jordan Love's the guy that can carry that torch behind Rodgers. I think that's why they're kind of torn on the situation of whether to bring him back or not, because I don't think they've seen. For one, you haven't played him in no games other than one game toward the end of last season. But other than that, I don't think they've seen enough of him at practice or seen enough flashes out of him where they're 100% sold that he's the guy.
Right. Yeah, when I look at a team like Green Bay, I look at a team that is definitely financially strapped.
So that's the biggest problem.
Have some running backs, and I think you have a promising wide receiver in Watson. But again, I mean, I don't know, man. I sometimes, when you get a guy like Aaron Rodgers who has that ego that he has, as great as he is, the distraction that he brings to the team can be just as bad as giving Jordan Love, who maybe you don't believe in, but how do you know? How do you know what you got in Jordan Love when you ain't played him enough?
Well, we can say here and say, that Rodgers causes all these distractions. He's not a team guy, but he's worked with a lot of young receivers in the past and turned them guys into stars. He's won a lot of games for Green Bay, and a lot of his teammates do love him. So I think in a way he does get along with his teammates, but he don't get along very good with the front office. and I will give you this: the last couple of years, he's been even more vocal about stuff with the Green Bay Packers and stuff. So that's why I think Green Bay will probably move on from him. But now there's reports coming out today, because it was that they were discussing it with them. Now there's reports. I've seen reports that they might be willing for him to stay there. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that deal. Like I said, it's eerily similar to the same stuff that happened when they had Brett Favre and they had Rodgers behind Favre.
The problem with it is
they had an aging Brett Favre. They went and drafted a Rodgers. That pissed Favre off. They basically drafted his replacement. They did the same thing with Rodgers. They went and drafted Love. Basically drafted his replacement. That made Rodgers mad. Rodgers goes out, wins back-to-back MVPs, kind of puts the Green Bay in a tough situation because, well, how do we move on from you when you just won back-to-back MVPs? So then they bring him back. They give him a big contract, bring him back for another year. This year didn't go great. But I mean, even if you look at his numbers, his numbers were down for Aaron Rodgers, but 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Hell, most teams would love to have that from their quarterback. I mean, most teams, if they give me a quarterback get 26 and 2-1 touchdown ratio, okay, that ain't too bad. Now, it was a down year for Rodgers because of what he's done throughout his career and the last 2 years before that. But with their salary cap situation, I think the best thing for them to do is to move on from Rodgers. But it'll be interesting to see if they pull that trigger.
The thing for me is not his production, right? I mean, you just clearly put out the stats, so you know it's not the production. The problem is the distraction that he creates for the Green Bay Packers. The problem is the distraction and the lack of chemistry building that comes from the distraction within the team. You can be a productive person, but again, it's still a team game. And if you're causing distractions, if you're causing your team, issues outside of the production, that can also be a negative thing for a team. And when you go into dark therapy and you don't have, you want to put them on and you don't know this, that, or the other, and his distractions can be just as harmful as the production was helpful. You know what I'm saying?
What has been his distraction this? How has he really been a distraction this offseason? Other than he said he didn't know if he was going to come back or not. Other than that, what has he done to be a distraction?
Well, you're putting a lot of mental doubt within the team because they don't know how to plan. They don't know how to predicate things. There's a lot of other mental aspects that it does that you don't see behind the scenes.
Okay, but let me ask you this: we're saying that he's a distraction because he hasn't decided if he's coming back yet or not. But why is Lamar Jackson not a distraction? Because he maybe didn't play in the playoffs because he didn't have a contract. No, I didn't say you didn't say it. But what I'm saying is you don't hear the media and everybody talking about him as a distraction. But because it's Aaron Rodgers, where everybody's jumping on him and like this darkness retreat thing. He's doing that on his personal time. So how's that a big distraction? Because hey, if that's how he feels that he needs to do to get his self-centered, if he wouldn't ever said that on Pat McAfee show where everybody heard it, nobody'd be making a big deal out of it. But he made it publicly. So now that he was going to do that.
That's what it is. I think you hit the nail on the head because Aaron. I think you hit the nail on the head because Aaron chooses to make things public. He puts the spotlight on himself.
But how's that a distraction? Just because he said, "I'm gonna go into the darkness for three or 4 days to think about what I'm gonna do." To me, that shouldn't be a distraction. The distraction part is, if you want to say distraction, is that he ain't decided if he wants to play or not, and that's kind of keeping Green Bay in limbo. I can understand that part of it, but the darkness retreat thing, everybody making a big deal about that. I think that's just, to me, I don't know. That's silly. I think if it was another player, we wouldn't be making as big a deal about it. Like if Tom Brady would have came out and said, I'm gonna go into darkness for 4 days before I decide if I'm gonna retire or not, I don't think we'd have made as big a deal about it as we have with Aaron Rodgers.
I tend to believe the squeaky wheel always gets the grease, and I think Aaron Rodgers is he's a prima donna, honestly. And not to say that Lamar Jackson's not. I don't know Lamar Jackson enough publicly because he keeps everything on the down low on what he does. Because Aaron Rodgers puts himself out there. I'm saying because Aaron, look, let's be honest. You put yourself out there in that limelight, you're gonna get attention. And he wants attention.
But that's what's funny. Everybody gets mad when these players won't answer questions and just give stupid answers on media day and won't really answer the reporters' questions. But then when they come out and be truthful, we all hate it. We all hate him for it.
I think Aaron Rodgers just needs to shut the F up.
You know what I mean?
I'm just trying to tell you. I think Aaron Rodgers just needs to shut up, stay off Pat McAfee shows, handle your business on the down low, privately handle your business, and you probably would be a lot better off. Now, if you want to put all your business out there for everybody to scrutinize, well, then so be it. But don't get pissed or don't get mad when people are going to come at you a certain kind of way versus coming at somebody else completely different who doesn't put all their stuff out there. Come on, man. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's entertainment, right? At the end of the day, Gonzo, it's entertainment. It's entertainment for you. It's entertainment for me. It gives us something to talk about on shows. You know what I'm saying?
You're saying in a way, but all I'm saying is just think about it.
There's reasons why we don't talk as much about Lamar because Lamar doesn't give us something to talk about other than the fact that he wants a big contract guarantee.
No, I understand that, but think about this. A guy like Marshawn Lynch, for example. Media used to bury him because he didn't want to talk to the media. He'd get fined. He got fined millions of dollars because he wouldn't talk to me. He'd go in there and say, I'm just here so I don't get fined. We'd bury him for that. But then we get guys that are totally opposite to that, and we bury them for that. So either way, these guys are.
Well, Marshawn Lynch, look.
Hey, and I love Marshawn Lynch.
That's not necessarily the truth. That's not necessarily the truth. We bury Marshawn Lynch because as an entertainer, you know, when it comes to press conferences and we're trying to find out about the game, we're trying to find out about the thought processes because we need something to report on, and you don't want to give us nothing. Okay, well, that's the same damn thing. So you're going to get – hold on, time out.
You said Aaron Rodgers needs to shut his mouth.
You
said Aaron Rodgers needs to shut his mouth to just play the game. That's what Marshawn Lynch done, and we got mad about it.
That's you going Frankie Cruz on me, man. That's you going Frankie Cruz. You want to try to nitpick it. That's not what I said. That's not even close to what I said.
You said that he needed to put his business out there. You said Aaron Rodgers.
No, that's you twisting it to fit your narrative. You're trying to make it fit your narrative.
You didn't say that Aaron Rodgers needed to quit putting his business out there and just play football. Did you say that?
You're doing it to fit your narrative. Now, if you want to fit your narrative, if you want to make this the Gonzo narrative show, then that's fine.
Fit a narrative.
No. I mean, because every time I try to talk, you want to come back before I can get out what I'm trying to say. Now, if this is the Gonzo narrative
how
show,
does that feel?
Then we need to change it to Afternoon Blitz to Gonzo narrative show. I'm just trying to understand exactly why I'm here. Am I here to talk or am I here to fit your narrative? You let me know.
Hey, how does that feel? Hey, how does it feel when somebody won't let you finish what you're saying?
I always let y'all finish. When have I not?
Go ahead, Jay.
Pull up some receipts. But
go ahead, Jay.
No, even in this show, I've let you talk.
I'm just messing with you about the interrupted part because you'll interrupt people as well. Go ahead, Jay.
No, and again, I'm not disputing that, but when I interrupt people, it's because they have said something about me that I wanted to clarify that was wrong. 9 times out of 10. Now, if we're going to get back to the Afternoon Blitz and get off the, racist Jay. Hey, why are you yelling at me, man? You better put that in some lowercase. Come in here yelling at me, damn it. Listen, the only person that yells at me are 2 people in this life, my mother and my wife. And neither one of you look like you got a pair of hooters or a vagina and things of that nature. So relax. Listen, what I'm trying to say to you is what Aaron Rodgers is doing isn't necessarily football related. He's off of the Pat McAfee show, putting his whole public life, entertainment life, whatever you want to put out there. Of course, we're going to come at you sideways. What the difference between that and the reason why they came after Marshawn Lynch was they were asking Marshawn Lynch football-related questions at the time of the game that he's supposed to be available to the media to discuss the football game, and he doesn't want to do any of that. So of course, the reporters are gonna cut him sideways because, bro, you're supposed to talk football-related stuff with us. Instead, you want to drop Skittles out there and put red rope around your Lamborghini because you don't want nobody to come within 10 feet of it. So there's a lot of things out there with the deal with Marshawn Lynch. The reason why he got so much negative publicity is because he wouldn't talk football-related questions. The reason why Aaron Rodgers gets the negative publicity he gets is because he's putting his whole public life out there and not, it's more of a distraction to the team. Both of them are distractions to the team in different directions, right? Different avenues of approach, but both of them are distractions to the team, honestly, at the end of the day. When you look at a guy like Lamar Jackson, he's got a contract dispute. So, yeah, and that's kind of maybe taken away from the team in that respect. But he will answer questions. He's not out there putting his life on public display on the Pat McAfee show. So it's easier to come at athletes for different reasons, right? Different reasons.
So basically, the media is mad. Here's what I take out of it. I see what you're saying, but either way, whether if the player's not responding to the big media how they want them to respond to under their terms, they're going to get buried most times.
I think at the end of the day, I think to your point, I think everybody's point really. When you're in the entertainment world, right? I mean, look, let's be honest. guys, let's just be honest. When you're in the entertainment world, there's going to be scrutiny. There just is. It's inevitable. It's inevitable for scrutiny to come down. So to your point that you made a minute ago, I do agree with. But look, when you're in entertainment, that's part of it, man. It's part of the lifestyle, you know. And how you choose to present yourself is going to determine how much scrutiny you get. You know what I'm saying?
But this is what the point I'm trying to get is. We want players to talk. We want players to talk, but when they talk, we get mad. Then we don't want them to talk, and they don't want no talk that we get mad. It's more how the big media wants to. And I'm not saying us, but you know, I mean, like the big media companies that are. We're trying to get there, but you know what I'm saying. And so I think some of these players, either way, they're going to be. Now, some players do put more out there than others. I agree with that 100%. But and I think some of it with Rodgers, because don't get me wrong, yeah, Rodgers. Does he say stuff that he probably should keep to himself if he didn't want to hear people chirp? Yes. But I think some of it with some of these guys from like ESPN and some of these other companies, some of it is they're mad that they can't get Rodgers to come on their shows, but he'll go on Pat McAfee's show every week. And I think that has a little bit something to do with it as well.
Mike says Mike wants to use Kyrie as an example of, you know, you get mad at him when he doesn't talk and you get mad at him when he does talk. Well, you know, Mike Hughes, let me tell you something. When you put out anti-Semitic statements and you don't want to take responsibility for the actions in which come out of your mouth, yeah, I kind of get a little irritated with what he's talking about, Mike. I'm sorry if I have an issue with anti-Semitic statements. But
that's only one statement.
No. Let me say it again. My bad for not liking anti-Semitic statements. My bad, Mike. I apologize for that. And by the way, when it comes to racist, Mike, I love you, Mike, but don't ever call me racist. Because I'm the least racist person in this freaking world. I promise you that. But anyway, continue, Mission.
Let me get. There was something. Right here. Frankie says, "You ready for some spring training baseball?"
Hell yeah, I'm ready for spring training baseball, man. Who isn't? Truthfully, I mean, who's not ready for spring training baseball, man? Honestly, I'm excited I think everybody's excited to see where their ball clubs are at this point in time, especially with number one, all the moves that have occurred. And then number two, to find out what you actually have in your minor league system and who's ready to come up and who's not ready to come up. So, yeah.
I can think of one person that's not excited for spring training baseball. That'd be Rob Scott.
Why is that?
Because he don't watch baseball.
Oh, that's right. That's true. I that's like the one segment that Rob will crop out and
that's about the only
and come back when it's over.
Off the top of my head, that's the one person I can think of. Well, he's not really excited today about spring training coming back because he'll watch baseball. I think baseball fans. I think if you're a fan of baseball, you're excited every year at this time when spring training gets back because you know we're just right around the corner from the regular season starting and another thing, especially if you live up in the north area like I do, you know that means warm weather is right around the corner as well when you get to baseball spring training. So that's always another nice bonus. Means you're about ready to get out of this cold shit.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, honestly, I think so. Let's see. Today is the first day of actual games. Am I correct?
Yes.
I haven't checked to see who all has games today. I don't believe the Astros have a game today. I think we may have the day off, but
if I remember correctly, there's 2 or 3 games today, and then Saturday is like when I think like everybody else kind of ramps up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think and we got what 20. How many games is it until the regular season? Regular season starts what? My months are so jacked up. I want to say it Is it March or April? Not
April.
March. I don't mean April. I mean, is it April or May? Is what I meant to say. Is it April or May that the season starts? I believe it's April.
April. Yeah, I'm pretty
Okay.
sure it's April. Frankie says 2 games today. I knew it was here 2 or 3, but thanks, Frankie. And then
we should get the end of XFL and then move right in. Yeah, Astros and that's going to be a really interesting game tomorrow between the Astros and Mets, just because of all the acquisitions that the Mets have brought in. I really am curious to see how many of those acquisitions they get play tomorrow, and how many of them maybe the minor leaguers that the Mets will play tomorrow. So that should be interesting to see.
Opening day for regular season is March 30th.
Is it okay? So it's almost the last day of March then.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Frankie, if you don't mind, please, since I know you probably have it right there at the fingertips, can you let me know what channels those games are going to be on tomorrow? Because I definitely want to catch that.
I think I'll let Frankie.
Is that an ESPN type of thing?
I think because I think the day's games are on ESPN Plus. So I'm not sure if about tomorrow if they're going.
I wouldn't be surprised, truthfully, Gonzo, if all those damn games are on ESPN Plus, because ESPN is probably going to want to try to drive that money up a little bit, not put on the regular ESPN or ESPN2. So I could see that, which is fine. I'm pretty sure you can probably still stream it somewhere though too, if you didn't have ESPN Plus, or like I think you had the Fire Stick. If you don't have the Fire Stick, I think you could probably stream it somewhere.
Yeah, I haven't even looked to see if it looked, but from what I'm seeing on the guide, it don't look like anything's on ESPN or MLB Network. So I would say it's probably ESPN Plus.
Yeah, I would imagine so as well. Do you think that the Mets play more of their minor leaguers in this as well, or do you think that?
Well, like tomorrow's game, Astros and Mets, I think you'll see some of their bigger players play maybe a few innings, but I think you're going to see like you see with a lot of spring training games, where you're going to see a lot of your young guys as well. You know what I mean? Especially the first couple games, because they want to get they get these guys kind of ramped up before they let them go full board. So you see guys only play maybe 2-3 innings, and then you see and then as it goes on, you start seeing some of the guys play a little more. But this year's going to be a little different as well, because you got the World Baseball Classic starting here in about a week and a half, and you got a lot of your big name players off a lot of these teams that are playing in that.
Right.
So spring training is going to look a little different this year.
He said a little show here on New York because Mets have their own sports channel. Like, I tell you, man, that's really that's really a good thing for New York. I mean, I wish more of the teams, had the ability to have their own networks as well, so we can see more of stuff like that. But yeah,
he said it doesn't show if they're televised. It's best to try and stream it.
Yeah, I would imagine. I think if you don't have Plus, streaming is probably your next best option. Honestly, I think most people probably want to do.
I think that's one thing that hurts baseball is a lot as most of their games are televised, but they're televised regionally. You don't get a whole lot of national televised baseball games like you do in like other sports where a lot of their games are nationally or televised. And I think that's one thing that helps or hurts baseball marketing wise is need to get more games nationally because I'm a Reds fan. If I didn't live where I lived, I wouldn't get to watch hardly any Reds games. But living where I live on the Fox Sports Indiana, or Valley Sports Indiana is what it's called now, but I can get almost every Reds game because they cover the Reds games because we're in, we're close enough to Cincinnati. But if I lived in Georgia, unless I pay extra to get the MLB all access, the extra innings or whatever it's called, I couldn't watch every Reds game. You know what I mean? I only get to watch maybe.
Yeah, I know. I definitely agree
once
with
or twice a year when they have a national game on Fox.
Right. No, I mean that's absolutely right. I mean, I can't even get even when I was living in Houston. There'd be blackouts on a lot of the games. It would be blackouts.
Yep. If you live too close, you got to worry about blackouts.
Yeah, because we would get the blackouts, and then you'd have to go to MLB Network or whatever it was, and you could catch the game there. But I wound up, man, honestly, I ain't gonna lie, I wound up streaming them because that I could always catch it that direction. But even with streaming, you know how things go with streaming, man. Sometimes you get good clarity, sometimes you get lag. I mean, it's never as good. It's never as good as what you want it to be, you know. But since I'm moving back to Houston in June, though, I'm definitely gonna try to get season tickets, man. That way I can go, and it won't be the best seats. It'll be probably your mid-level seats, but that way I can kind of catch some of the games. I miss going to baseball games. Yeah, that's the downside living in Savannah, because if you want to go to see a game at Atlanta, you know, it's about a 4-hour ride up, you know, and sometimes the Astros will play Atlanta, and I try to make those games, but it's still a hell of a ride, man.
Yeah, we try to go to I'm gonna try to go to a couple Reds games this season. We try to go to some every year, but I mean, we don't live too far. It's about 2 hour drive.
Yeah, you got about half the distance of what I would have to travel to go see a game, because I mean that's really about the only one that's around me is Atlanta.
You're looking,
you know, there's no other. I mean, because South Carolina don't have nothing. Florida, you know, I mean, I ain't driving down to freaking Miami. That's an 8-hour ride.
Yeah, so you're looking.
But if I take the 8-hour ride, everybody knows that nobody goes to Marlins games. So I could probably get like the crappiest ticket and then slide my ass down to the bottom.
Because you're looking at first you go to the Reds game, you're looking at about a 4-hour round trip, 2 hours there, about 2 hours back. So it's not too bad.
Well, you know, I've seen I
love going down there.
Well, when the Astros play the Braves, typically I would go there. You know, me and the wife will go there. We'll see the game. We'll get a room, and then I'll just come back the next day because I ain't driving that damn long ass ride back. But yeah.
Well, and we've done that before too. Just stay in or go down and stay in Cincinnati for the weekend. Go like on Friday. Go down there. Go to Reds game Saturday. Go do something else in Cincinnati. Then head back on Sunday or something. Or
no doubt about it.
You'll sometimes go down there like on a Friday, go to a game Saturday and Sunday, and then come home after the Sunday game.
Oh, absolutely. And Frankie, I'll tell you, man, hey, that's a hell of a good thing to do. Man, that Subway series would be really amazing to see that Subway series, man. Especially if you're a New Yorker, man, you know, that's prime time right there. So that would be really good to see. Really good to see, man, honestly. Time to be alive, man. You know, and then so not to switch topic, we are going to kind of switch out a little bit, but you know, Bobby Wagner got released from the Rams. Where do you think he's going to wind up? Man, he's still got some tread on those tires.
I think there's going to be quite a few teams interested in him. I think it's going to kind of come down to what kind of money he's looking for as well on what teams would be interested in, just because of cap issues. But yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
I still think still think he could play at a high level for at least another 2-3 years. I'm not even sure on his age. I'd have to look up his age, but I agree with you. I don't think he's really dropped off to the point that nobody's going to be interested in him.
Yeah, absolutely. And Anthony Price, man, Cowboys about $7.6 million over the cap. So even if he was available, we're definitely not going to go after Bob. That would definitely not be a cap friendly thing. Speaking of cap, though, like I was telling you earlier, the non-exclusive comes in around $20 million. How much money do you think Bobby Wagner would command on free agents? I think probably somewhere around the 10, maybe the 10 million, 10 to 15, somewhere in that neighborhood.
This was after the first season of him just signed a 5-year, $50 million deal.
Yeah. So okay. So 5-year 50. That's okay. So who's looking at 10 million? So I still think. Do you think he still sticks around that 10 million a year? Do you think that's what he's going to ask for? I think 5 to 10, somewhere in that neighborhood, or 8 to 10, somewhere in that neighborhood. I think.
Yeah, just a lot of it to me just depends on what team because of the salary cap. I think if he wants to go to depends on if he's wanting to go to a contender, he's probably going to take the more maybe to that 5 to 7 range, just because a lot of them contenders aren't going to have the cap space to pay him more.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, do you think the Chiefs would take a chance? Because, you know, the Chiefs still need That's one of the downsides to the Chiefs. I thought was their defense a little bit. Do you think that they take a chance on him to try to bolster a little bit of that?
They could. I'd have to look at their salary cap, but Wagner's only 32. I just looked at he's only 32.
Yeah, so and for linebackers, that's really your prime years.
Yeah, he probably could play for, I'd say maybe another 5 years.
Yeah, that's at 32. That's about the middle of your prime or close to the middle of your prime.
That's what I'm saying. So I would say you probably get at least another good 5 years of him at a high level.
Oh, absolutely.
Him at 37. No,
yeah, absolutely.
That's avoiding a serious injury or anything like that. I mean, but if he can stay healthy, I do think if the Bears could get him, I just don't know because whether he would go to a team like that. But the Bears have the cap space. I mean, because Bears have a lot of cap space, and that would be a good pickup for them, especially with losing. His name is
Quinn.
Yeah,
are you talking about Quinn, the one that went to the Ravens?
Yes.
Yeah, I think his last name is Quinn. Something Robert Quinn or something like that. No.
Yeah.
Is it Robert Quinn? Something. It's something like that. No, Roquan.
Yeah, Roquan
Smith. Roquan Smith. Jesus.
Quinn's a guy too, but yeah,
I think Quinn is defense. I think he's a defensive end.
Yeah, but them losing Roquan Smith, I mean, bringing in a guy like Wagner wouldn't be a bad idea to help bolster up on the defensive side of the ball.
And I think you get him at a good price too, which is what they need. They need cap-friendly stuff because they're going to have to spend most of that money on that O-line and possibly a wide receiver one. Is probably where they're going to have to direct most of that money. Their defense, the Bears' defense is not. It's good. Their problem is just on the offensive side of the ball.
It's still decent, but they let a lot of pieces of that defense go.
Well, they did. You're right. You're right.
So I think they have like 100. They have like 120 million or so. they got a lot of. They're under the cap big time because of everybody they released last year.
I just think when the Bears bring in those pieces with that cap, they got to be. They definitely have to do their homework and not just give out crazy deals. Like they have to be financially responsible to manage that cap. And
you'll be able to get some of the pieces in the draft, which helps you because that saves you money because a lot of them guys are going to be cheaper on them rookie deals.
I don't know what Frankie. He might be talking about me because I definitely got a short term memory issue.
I think he was talking about both of us because we couldn't remember Roquan Smith's name.
Man, listen, it's okay. Hey, you know what? One of these days, if Frankie is blessed enough, he will see what it's like to be 50. It's not easy.
Just wait until you start getting in your 40s, Frankie. You'll start forgetting shit.
I'll tell you, hey, and listen, I'm gonna tell you something, Frankie. You think them 20s they're gonna last forever? Them 20s go by quick. 30s go by even faster. It's okay. It'll hit you.
But AP did have a question. I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Why is Vegas odds going up for Richardson QB to be the number one to be drafted number one overall?
I didn't see him being I didn't see the odds on him going up like that. I did see that he was definitely in the conversation of sneaking up into the first round or into the conversation, with the first round QB picks that are out there. So I don't know why that exactly is, unless they have had interviews with him or brought him in. I don't know if he's come in and done any other workouts, Gonzo, or I don't know if you're aware of that or anything like that. I haven't seen any reports of that.
I don't think they can work out for I don't think the rookies can work out for the teams during this time period. I think there's a certain time period where.
Okay.
Because I think that's why you have like the pro days and then the combine. I think there's a certain time period where teams are actually allowed to work players out.
That makes sense.
Because no doubt. I mean, it's weird as hell because like even in high school, there's certain time. Like as a high school coach, there's certain time periods where you're not technically allowed to have any kind of contact with your players.
I got to be honest with you. I have not seen a mock draft yet.
Well, he's not saying on a mock draft.
Richardson, in the top 20, but I would not be surprised. Like I said, I would be surprised, honestly, if Richardson wound up with Carolina Panthers. That's kind of where I think he could possibly land is with Carolina, to be honest with you. I think Carolina could be tossing back and forth between Levis and Richardson, to be truthfully honest with you. And I got to be honest with you, if I'm Carolina, if those are the two guys that are going to fall down to around where they are, which I most likely think that's probably where it happens, is I think I'm leaning towards Richardson. I'm not a big Kentucky Levis fan, but I think Richardson out of Florida certainly looks pretty nice.
Well, yeah, but what he's talking about is the Vegas odds. So he must be looking at a sports book.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that part of it, so I couldn't even.
And I guess the odds are going up for him to be number one pick, and to me that is kind of tells you something, because everybody knows these sports books are usually. I mean, these sports books they're not rich for a reason. You know what I mean? They're usually pretty on a lot of their stuff. That's why they take everybody's money. But so when I do see sport movement like that and from the sports books, it does kind of make me think about it a little bit, because if that's happening, Vegas is hearing it from somewhere.
About to say somebody's got to be feeding them that information.
Yeah, sports books are hearing that from somewhere, because they don't just change odds and move people up just to do it. You know what I mean? Because if they're wrong, if they're wrong and they're really wrong, it costs them a lot of money.
Oh, absolutely. So let me ask you this. In your opinion, I kind of gave you mine where I think he winds up. I think Richardson probably winds up in Carolina, but where would you think that he would, based on what you're seeing out of Vegas, where do you think he winds?
I hadn't seen those odds, but I think he's probably going to be. I say probably the third. I'm going to say the third quarterback taken. I think it's going to be Young and Stroud. They're going to be the first two quarterbacks taken.
Absolutely.
And then I think Richardson's probably going to be the third.
There is on the Atlantic.com mock draft. They got Vegas Raiders at 5 with Anthony Richardson. Now, again, that's a mock draft, so do with that information as you will. Wow.
And that would still probably have him as what? It still probably have him as the third quarterback.
No, that is, yeah. He would be the third one at number 5. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then they got Will Levis at 6 going to Carolina Panthers. But again, I am not 100% sold on that mock draft, because I do believe that somebody's going to take the Bears at that number 1 spot. I think it just depends on who it's going to be.
AP, I agree with you. That's my same thoughts on Bryce Young. That really worries me about him, and that the Colts might be, and that the Colts owner keeps talking about how much he loves that Alabama guy, because I feel the same way. I worry about his size and his weight in the NFL. And
I trust me, I get your concerns, and they are valid concerns. I mean, not everybody in this league is going to be a Drew Brees. I mean, that's not the prototypical case. And I understand why you wouldn't want a 5'11". I get that.
Look at all the injury issues Kyler Murray's.
Oh, I get it. Yeah,
that's what works.
Kyler Murray, but Kyler Murray really is more of a running playmaker style quarterback. I think Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, they are mobile guys, no doubt about it, but they are still kind of that pass first before I'm going to run first. So I think maybe that prolongs him a little bit better than it does Kyler Murray. But at the same time, I do understand, where you're coming from.
And I'm not 100% sold on Stroud either, but if I was the GM and I had to pick one of them two, I would take Stroud, because he's a little bit bigger. I think he's going to be a little more durable. And Bryce Young, I mean, kind of going back to what Mike Hughes was saying the other night, you played to Alabama, where you have some of the best talent in the nation around you, and you're losing to these teams that don't have the same level of talent that you have. So I mean, that kind of worries me a little bit as well.
And like I said, that's a valid concern.
Because you go into the NFL, you get drafted to these teams that have the top picks. You're not surrounded by all that talent like you used to have.
Right. And I think, Raiders, if they were to, like I said, go all in on number one, I personally still think they take Stroud, but if they did take a Bryce Young at Oakland, I think he could be okay. I mean, Oakland doesn't have the best offensive line, but they certainly don't have the worst offensive line either. So I think he could still be successful.
Especially because if you're a guy like Younger Stroud, you're getting drafted this high, you're probably going into a situation where they're going to try to start you right away.
Oh, absolutely.
And that worries me even more because I don't know if either one of them are pro ready where they're ready to come in and start right away.
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways to look at that, right? Though, I mean, you either stick them behind a really good, like you said, starting quarterback. I always say though, and I really believe that there's no quarterback that ever gets better holding a clipboard. Well, sometimes baptism under fire is the best experience there is.
I think you can get better if it's 1 year, and here's why I say you get. I'm not going to say you get substantially better, but I do think you get a little bit better because you can get prepared if you have a veteran guy sitting in front of you because they can show you how to prepare for an NFL game. You know what I mean? They can help you get used to the NFL style of stuff. But
I get it. Yeah.
But like I said, hey, Colts drafted Peyton Manning first. We played him the first year. He was not good. Led the league in interceptions. We were 3-13 as a team. Next season, we were 13-3 as a team, and we were in the playoffs. And Peyton was playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So I mean, I've seen it work both ways. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know if which way's better than the other, but I've seen it work both ways. I kind of agree with you. You're going to learn more. I do agree with you. You're going to learn more by playing than what you're going to learn by on the sideline. But I also do think like that you can learn that you do learn, but you learn quicker when you're out there playing.
Truthfully speaking, I think it also really heavily depends on the maturity level of the player and how well that player handles adversity. You take for example, Brock Purdy. The guy was Mr. Last, but yet he comes in and he plays extremely well for the 49ers. He doesn't get rattled. He keeps his composure. You look at another guy, take Burrow, for instance. Of course, we all know how good Burrow is, even at the college level, obviously. But Burrow doesn't get rattled. He maintains his composure, and he's been like that since day one in his first year, although injuries is what took him out the first year. And then you look at a guy like, Trevor Lawrence, who, my God, has the worst coaching staff put underneath the sun. Yeah, he didn't look good the first year, but then the second, you get Doug Peterson comes in, makes a few tweaks to Trevor Lawrence, and now he just looks phenomenal to the point where, he almost had his team in first place in a very weak division, mind you, but still almost had them in first place. So I truly do believe that you don't get better carrying a clipboard. I think, the best experience is just game experience, and you're going to have to learn on the fly and things of that nature.
And with Trevor Lawrence, I think some of it, don't get me wrong, some of it was getting a better Coach Peterson there, but some of that, if him playing better this year, it's his second year in the league. You know what I mean?
I understand. Yeah. But I think what I was kind of getting at with Trevor Lawrence in the first year that, he really truly did not have a good coaching staff.
No,
I mean, very easily, had he not been the mature guy that he is, very easily that could have really, messed with his mind going into year two.
Yep.
But he rose above it, and thankfully he had Doug Peterson, which is a former quarterback in the NFL, to really mold him and guide him and lead him. But a lot of times that first year experience really could have jacked him up mentally, to where he would have more to overcome. But he was able to let it go, get it out of the system, and then, take Peterson's advice. And of course, he flourished.
How's it going, Frankie?
What's up, guys? Just hanging out, beautiful Friday here in cold New York.
Man, I bet it is cold up there in New York.
It's
I
like,
bet it is, but you guys are getting a pretty good cold front coming through that direction.
Yeah, we just got over I want to say like ice/snowstorm, and it's just cold as hell right now.
Yeah, man, I bet it is, man. You always know a place is cold when the military specifically sends people to Fort Drum for cold weather training. Not Alaska, not any other place. They send those people straight to Fort Drum to get cold weather training. That's how you know a place is cold.
yeah, it's about I think it's about 40, 45 here now. It was 20 when I woke up this morning.
Oh, geez. What's the wind? What's the wind like right now? What's the wind speed? Because that wind is what kills you.
Oh, here the wind isn't too bad, so it's not too bad out today.
I'm about to say, 40 can be okay if you don't have a harsh wind on you.
Yeah. Now
especially like when I used to go for like 5-mile runs back when my knees were still good. I love the cold weather because you generate body heat, so it felt great. But man, you get that harsh wind coming on you, man. It was horrible.
Yep.
There wasn't a chapstick in the world I could put on my lips. Damn it. You know what I'm talking about? Hey, that wind, it'll kill you. Malik Willis not getting better because Ryan not helping him out. He cares about. Yeah, man. I don't know what to make of Malik Willis at this point.
My thing is, I don't blame these quarterbacks if they don't want to help these young guys out. Why do I want to help somebody else that's there to take my job?
Oh, I'm not. Hey, it is what it is. I mean, I get that.
I understand it's a team thing, but also you're trying to stay in the league and keep making money to provide for your family. Why don't just like if I was at a different job, I'm not going to help a guy get a promotion over me.
The only thing I got on Tannehill is, hey, it's one thing not to want to help him out, and if that's your approach, so be it. Because I like to Gonzo's point, makes absolute sense. But for the love of God, man, from a PR standpoint, don't say it out loud. Keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself, and then still don't help him. tell him, hey, if you want to learn how to play quarterback, you can watch me all you want, but just from a PR standpoint,
yeah, man, I'm not gonna be a dick to the guy, but I'm not gonna go out of my way.
Right.
Either.
I get it. Well, and you don't have to. That's what you got quarterback coaches for. That's what you got developmental staff for. That's their job to develop. It's Tannehill's job or whoever's job to go out there and play the position that they're assigned for. That's their job. It's not even in their contract. If it's not in your contract, then why would it be required?
Tannehill needs to be worried about improving himself, let alone trying to help anybody else get better.
Man, hey, who you telling? I think Tannehill knows that his days in the NFL are probably marked at this point.
And if I'm Malik Willis, I don't think Tannehill's the right guy that will showing me how to be an NFL quarterback.
Man, listen. Yeah, I agree with you. I do. Unfortunate, but it's true though. It is true. Hey, I see where it looks like at number 8, Chicago Bears are slated to draft that amazing offensive tackle / guard out of Northwestern, Peter Skronsky. That would be now. That's what Mike needs to, and his team needs to pick up is these offensive linemen like these guys. That's what's going to help. That's what's going to help Fields get better at the passing game. Truth be known, man, if I was them, I would trade out of that number 1 spot to take 2 offensive linemen if I could, because I'm telling you, I think that offensive line is where you need most of your help. Everything else can be gotten through the free agency, but that offensive lineman, Jesus, man, that's where I'd spend my time.
16107. Damn, man. Another 3-3. I had a 3-3 day on my picks last night. 500.
Because at number 11, it looks like the Titans are going to grab Paris Johnson according to this mock draft, the offensive tackle out of Ohio. Could you imagine if they dropped out of the number 1 spot, picked up, another and picked up, and they had 2 first rounders to choose from? They could actually draft Paris and they could draft Peter out of Northwest. They could draft both of those offensive tackles, which both of them play tackle and guard. And that's 2 first-round top-notch guys you could revamp that offensive line with and really make an impact more so on the offense than what that wide receiver 1 would give you. You know what I mean? Or even Will Anderson for that matter.
Yep.
What time to be alive, man. Damn.
Trying to fix my fucking TV. I hit the wrong goddamn button. Oops, sorry.
I'm surprised Frankie didn't come after you.
And that's what I was saying. As soon as I said that, I'm gonna get out of here. It came out like,
That's why I put that pause in there to see if he was gonna do it.
don't remind him. Come on now.
Oh no. It's after the fact now. Look, once it's after the fact, you can't just come back and retro it. You're good.
AP says,
and Frankie does never disappoints.
AP says, what does it say about Washington drafting?
Oh man, well, it looks like the Commanders at 16 are looking at that.
It doesn't matter. Jay, just be honest. It doesn't matter who you guys draft, Washington.
Well, that's true. It really, at this point, who are you really protecting? Now, that could change depending on how Washington approaches free agency. Now, it could. I think if I'm Washington at this point, I'm going after Garoppolo, man.
I think they're going to fit really well. Think about it.
But I don't know if Carr.
If you really look at it, Jay, though, that'll be a good fit. You know, you got Jimmy Garoppolo with Eric Bieniemy. I think them two will rock out. So then Washington there can go through free agency and draft, looking for protection for Jimmy and also weapons for him as well.
So you're saying possibly that you think Washington could trade up for that 1 spot is what you're saying?
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, it just depends on who they're going to give up to Chicago, and if Chicago really wants to get those players. I mean, at this point, you might as well give up your best defensive guy, right? He hasn't played for you in about a year and a half, and he doesn't look like he's going to be that superstar athlete that you thought he was going to be in his rookie year. I mean, might as well go ahead and get rid of him and try and trade up for the number 1. Why not?
And truth be known, it does not hurt it would not hurt the Bears to do that, because I think there's going to be at least 1 or 2 really top-notch offensive linemen at that spot around 16 that they could pick from. And they probably could pick up another second rounder or a possible first rounder in next year's draft, for that. So the amount of draft capital that they could get out of that would definitely put them in a good spot. So it would be worth it for them to draft back, honestly.
I'm not worried so much about Chicago just because they literally have the number 1 highest.
Wait, hold on. This is how dumb he is. He says you can get an offensive lineman in free agency for a far cheaper price. You're going to get a cheaper price than a draft pick.
I don't know what you just said, Jay, because all I heard, you just kept breaking up on my end.
Oh, was I breaking up? Damn, I hate when I do that. No, I was just saying, like Damian is saying, he thinks you can get a cheaper free agent. Oh, you were fucking with me, weren't you? Effing with me. You were effing.
Frankie, was he cutting out on you, or was that just my
internet? Cutting out. He was cutting out a little bit, but then all I heard was the F word, and I'm like, oh no.
No. We gotta let him go. No, I'm sorry. My internet over here has been kind of spotty, but no, Damian is saying clearly that he thinks you can get an offensive lineman cheaper in free agency than you can in the draft.
No,
and that's bull.
No, especially with the Chicago Bears, because all the players are looking. I'm going to be real with you. All the free agent players right now are looking at Chicago because Chicago has the number 1 cap space with money. So they're going to want to go and target all that money that Chicago's have. And Chicago is going to, be the Chicago way and just go ahead and throw out these monies at the best available players that they think is going to be, fit right with their organization. So I think, it's not a smart move on Chicago's part to just go ahead and just hand out money to a bunch of offensive linemen through the free agency. You also have to think about it.
I agree.
You also got to think about it. You don't want to throw money out to a player that's already been in the league for about over 10 years. And, compared to someone you can get in the draft really young and develop his talent in that roster, I mean, it'll be a mind-blowing thing. But do take to consideration that the Bears have the number one cap space, and that is likely to happen, that they're going to try and go out through free agency to ramp up that offense and that offensive line. If it was me as an owner of the Chicago Bears, I would not do that just because of age differential and how much longer they got in the league. Yes, I understand their talent and their playing availability is probably a little bit better than what a rookie would be. But with a rookie, you can develop that person over the years, and he's still young compared to somebody who's going to, be on your team for about signing a 5-year contract, who plans on probably retiring in 3.
Yeah,
that's true. And also remember, if they were to draft out of that one spot, get with Washington, if they did do that, that would put them at number 16. If you get an offensive lineman at 16, you're only looking at on a rookie deal of maybe what, 2-3 million, something in that neighborhood. I mean, it's not going to be, they won't see that kind of money until they come out of their rookie deal.
Exactly. When they're in a rookie contract, Jay, they most definitely have like up to 2.4, depending if you're a first round draft pick, you're getting about $4 to $5 million a contract. But if you're a late round draft pick, you're seeing high thousands, probably even just like 1 million, maybe 2 at best. But if you're these high talent of free agencies, they're gonna try and stack up about 30, maybe even try to get $40 million out of their contract.
Oh, easily.
Chicago Bears. That's insane. Where you could just spread your money around by getting a bunch of different talents that are young and you're in a rookie contract, like you said.
Oh, by the way, Anthony Price, it's a beautiful 83 degrees here in Georgia.
He said, I don't care how much money they have. I don't do cold weather.
I'm not going to play in the cold.
And you know what? I'm sorry to say this, but us as football fans, we love to see football players play in the cold, snow, rain, all of that.
And don't get it twisted, Frankie. If you throw enough money at me, I will take my butt up there and play in the cold. I promise you. That just means I'm going to find the best athletic wear that I can to keep my butt warm. That's all that means.
Some of the best players play in the cold, to be realistic with you. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, the Baltimore Ravens players sometimes, back in the past, not today. But, some of these places that are cold, that's where some of the best players play from, like.
And you got to remember too, man. When you got body heat working for you, and you got adrenaline pumping, yeah, it's still cold. Don't get me wrong, but I played the cold before. It gets bearable once you're moving around and doing stuff. Trust me. And sometimes you just got to be a man. Just be a man.
Chris don't know nothing about that, Jay. He's got weak bones.
And some of these cold weather places, the players being there, like Frankie mentioned with Baltimore years ago and Rodgers, them teams can have a big advantage when it's real cold because they're used to that weather, and you get a team coming in that's not used to playing in that cold weather.
And can you also remind me when playoff time come around? What month is that?
January, cold out.
Oh yeah, January, cold out. Most stadiums are not indoors. Just saying. I mean, you only got like about a couple stadiums that have domes, and let's be realistic. Most of those stadiums that have domes don't make the playoffs. Most times when you're facing teams in the playoffs, you're basically playing in the outside. Kansas City, Buffalo, Green Bay, San Francisco. Well, that's hot as fuck, San Francisco. But you know what I'm saying? Like all these other places, they don't have domes, so you have to deal with the cold. And if you're not used to playing in the cold, once playoff time comes around, then just expect that you're not going to win because you're people like AP. I don't want to play in the cold.
Yeah, and truthfully be known, and again, I think this is where I love the beautiful thing about the retractable roof is, number one, even if it's cold, right, you keep the dome closed, but then come game time, you could open up that roof, have that cold air come in, not have to deal with the snow, right? And then you can still have that cold weather environment if you want it. I like the retractable roof. It just gives you options. It's nice when you have options versus. And again, I understand the old school way of thinking, with the open stadium, but the open stadium doesn't give you options like it does
You're
when you have
becoming soft, Jay. You're becoming soft. No, I said you're becoming soft at your old age.
Yeah, man. Listen,
it
happens. Bones get brittle, Chris.
You're telling me you don't like watching a good snow game?
Oh no, I do. Don't get me wrong. I have spent many a years at Lambeau Field. I never went inside. We always tailgated. That's what we do in Wisconsin. You tailgate more than you do go into stadiums. So, man, trust me. Listen, I've been out there tailgating in them cold ass weather days, and I liked it, but I didn't like it. It's a tale of two swords, I guess. But no, I think we all like to see that, right? I mean, we like the old school Pittsburgh Steelers, the frozen tundras. I mean, it does make for good stuff. It really does, right?
I want to answer AP real quick. 3 years, $40 million contract for the Bears, or 3 years, $35 million for Tampa Bay. He's saying, hello, Tampa. Yes, that's true. But then again, right now, Tampa Bay just lost the best quarterback in the NFL. Okay? So now you have to think about it. Which team is going to give you the more options of winning games? A Chicago Bears team that has the number one cap space where they can literally build talent, or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who has one of the worst coaches that I don't like in Todd Bowles as a head coach, a good defensive coordinator, but not a good head coach, to where now that they're not going to do what they used to do the past 3 years with Tom Brady. You don't even know if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to win their division now because you don't know what their quarterback situation is going to be like. Compared to Chicago, you have Justin Fields, who can run the ball well and extremely well, but now with the number one cap space, he's going to get talent around him now. I expect the Chicago Bears to bring talent for Justin Fields so that way he can start throwing the ball now. So now you have to look at it. I mean, yes, you want to take a $5 million pay cut to go with Tampa, but now you also have to start thinking, all right, do I have a better chance at winning with Chicago, or do I have a better chance of winning with Tampa?
Yep. And the way them teams are structured right now, who would you rather play with, Justin Fields or Kyle Trask?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I guess Tampa Bay is about to find out with Trask, though, so we shall see with that one.
Oh, Damien saying something here.
Damien just saying some craziness. He just talking about because he got mad because the offensive lineman they took wound up not being able to stay healthy. You know what? But that happens at every position in the draft. I mean, just because they had to be offensive linemen, I mean, it could have been anybody else. I mean, you can't really hold that against it.
Damien, the Patriots have one of the biggest offensive linemen who always gets hurt. His name is Isaiah Wynn. We drafted him back in I want to say 2019. And from then till now, the man has always gotten hurt every single year. So I don't want to hear about your Tevin Jenkins or whatever the hell his name is. All right, I've dealt with an offensive lineman of injuries. And so has Jay. Jay has nonstop every year complained to me that, God damn it, there's someone on the offensive line that's injured.
Well, it is. I mean, Tyron Smith can't stay healthy to save his life. And he was the number one pick by the Cowboys, first round pick by the Cowboys. And then you got we had Lyle Collins, which obviously got shipped off to the Bengals, but he couldn't stay healthy either. Well, hell, we had like 2 or 3 guys every year we're having to substitute in that were rookies playing on the offensive line. So it happens. Everywhere you go, offensive linemen, they do get injured. It's just part of the beast.
It's their job. They're there to protect the quarterback. They're going up against bigger dudes, literally big dudes on the defensive side of the ball. God, Damien, I swear to God, I feel like he doesn't know football.
I'll be right back.
Says, what's your thoughts on Russ wanting Seahawks to fire Pete Carroll? We talked a little about that earlier, but what was your thoughts on that, Frankie?
Yeah, I think that's crazy. I mean, I don't really think that Russell Wilson wanted the Seattle Seahawks to fire Pete Carroll, just because, Pete Carroll and him, they were still having okay, decent seasons. They just, they lost their Legion of Boom in the defense. They lost a couple of offenses throughout the year. You know, but I still felt like Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, they could have done something. I just feel like, you know, Russ I want to blame it on Russ. Honestly, I really do, because if you look at Pete Carroll and what he did this year with
Yep.
Geno Smith, it just goes to show that it wasn't Pete Carroll, it was Russell Wilson when how he was doing on the field. I mean, you got DK Metcalf, you got Tyler Lockett. You know, you had what's that running back that just retired because he had a neck injury?
Carson.
Yeah, that dude. I mean, you had the offensive talent to where you could have been in the playoffs. I wouldn't say make a Super Bowl run, because let's be honest here, they still had a couple of defensive issues, but you had a great offensive system and a great offensive weaponry where you should have been able to, you know, attack your division at the time where the 49ers weren't good, the time where Arizona wasn't great, the time where the Rams didn't have a good quarterback and a good team. You know, you could have attacked that entire division and won a playoff at least a couple of times, but Russell Wilson just didn't show out to play really good. And I just think that was what's the key answer with the Seahawks. And once they got rid of Russell Wilson, look how they turned out this year with Geno Smith. I wouldn't be surprised if the Seahawks make the playoffs next year, to be realistic with you. They can be a wild card team. I don't say they're going to win their division, but they can definitely be a wild card team, and that's because of the coaching style from Pete Carroll. I don't see why, you know, Russell Wilson will try and get the Seahawks to fire Pete Carroll. He gave you, or he helped you win a Super Bowl your second year in this league. You got drafted, you go to the Super Bowl next year, and you beat Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl. And not alone that, you go to back-to-back Super Bowls. Yeah, you lost to the Patriots in Super Bowl 49, but you went to back-to-back Super Bowls with Pete Carroll. So why would you try and get Pete Carroll to get fired as your coach? It makes no sense to me. I mean, if Russell Wilson really did that, Russell Wilson is out of his mind. That's basically like saying Tom Brady went to Robert Kraft during the Patriots tenure and said, hey, I want to get rid of Bill Belichick. Let's get rid of Bill Belichick. I don't think Bill Belichick's the answer.
Yeah. And it showed that they got rid. I mean, they got rid of the right guy. If he was wanting to fire Pete Carroll, they made the right decision by trading Russ instead of getting rid of Carroll. Because look what Russ did this season, and then, like you said, look what the Seahawks did.
Exactly.
Yeah, that wasn't you. Pete Carroll is still a good coach. He's still a good evaluator of talent. He still, you know, has a lot of things going for him, as well as that general manager. And I'm glad that they didn't let Russell just come in there and try to get, you know, what he wanted, because I think that definitely was not the right move for them.
People keep forgetting that Pete Carroll is part of that Bill Parcells coaching tree. You know, like he's still a great coach. Like he really is a great coach, and it wasn't Pete Carroll's fault on the downfall those last years of the Seahawks. To me, like I said, it was Russell Wilson. Like you had DK Metcalf, you had Tyler Lockett, you had the weapons. You really did. So you shouldn't be making excuses, you know, saying, you know, it was Pete Carroll or anything like that. They should have fired Pete Carroll. No, they should do what they did and let you go a long time ago.
And who threw the interception that cost them a chance to win that second Super Bowl?
So exactly. I mean,
let's be honest though. Hey, if it wasn't for Pete Carroll, do you think Seattle would have ever sniffed the Super Bowl? I mean, that's what I was telling Chris.
Like this coach got you to back-to-back Super Bowls where you face Tom Brady and you lose to one, and you face Peyton Manning and you win in the other one. Like you face two of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL, win one, you lose one. But that wasn't all on you. That was Pete Carroll's coaching decision on giving you a great defense on the Legion of Boom at that time. And he gave you a good offense where, you know, you guys dominated literally every play of the ball. So you can't sit there and say Pete Carroll is not a good coach. The man took you to back-to-back Super Bowls. And one of those Super Bowls you won in your second year in the league. Not very many players can say that I won a Super Bowl my second year in the league.
Yeah, and it took Pete Carroll a little bit. I mean, when he first came in the NFL the first go around with your specific Patriots.
He was horrible. He was horrible.
He was terrible.
As a Patriots coach.
Yeah. But he learned a lot. And that's the thing, right? I mean, I think Pete Carroll has learned a lot since then in terms of coaching and evaluating of talent, scouting. I mean, all that, you know.
They always do, Jay, because look at Bill Belichick when he was head coach of the Cleveland Browns. He wasn't really as a, you know, a good coach that people look at him today. He was horrible with the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns actually fired Bill Belichick. Imagine having someone to say that right now. A team firing Bill Belichick. You don't hear that.
Man,
So
it happens.
you learn.
It's part of the growing experience. I always said, man, the best experience is on-field experience, you know, and it's the same thing. I feel it's the same thing with starting quarterbacks. You know, you can't get better with the clipboard. You've got to get on the field. You've got to get the reps. You've got to get the game time, conditioning, and timing. That's the only way you get better. And you can't expect much the first year because they're learning. But that second or third year, there should be some progress, some maturation, and growth. And, you know, that's how you know if you got a winner or if you got a bust. But you're not going to know that until they get rid of the clipboard and actually get on the field and start putting the reps in. What do you say, Russ is Aaron Rodgers 2.0?
He's insane. He's insane.
Man, I don't know what Damon be smoking over there, but damn.
I sometimes try to ignore it. Every time I see Damien's comment come up, I just ignore it. You know, if this was me a month ago, I would be attacking him. But I'm being more professional right now, and I'm just gonna ignore him, guys.
You know, Frankie, I know we're switching gears, or I'm switching gears, but you know, now Fury's 8-0, 4 KOs. Obviously, the half brother of Tyson Fury, Jake Paul has been criticized as not having fought anybody of true professional boxing career status. Now he will be obviously getting that against Fury. Me and Gonzo talked about this the other day. You know, once he beats that, you know, where do you if he beats Fury, where do you rank him? I think me and Gonzo were agreeing around the 20 mark, definitely outside of the top 15, but certainly ranked.
Oh, I mean, I'm not a real big fan of the Paul brothers. I'm really not. Jake Paul, Logan Paul. I'm not a really big fan of either of them. And
I think he's gonna get beat this weekend. I think
I
Fury's
do. Yeah, I do expect, you know, Tommy Fury to put the beats on Jake Paul and finally shut him and all the critics up of him being a good boxer and stuff like that. I mean, let's be realistic here. He's been facing old timers. He's been facing former UFC fighters who've never been in the boxing ring. You know, this time around, he's facing someone close to his age. He's facing someone that's been in the boxing ring literally basically his whole life, being Tommy Fury's brother. I mean, you get the same coach and everything like that, just as your brother. I expect Tommy Fury to come out and put the beats and put the works out on Jake Paul. Now, if Jake Paul wins this fight, I swear to you guys, there's something wrong here. There's something that's got to be wrong here. It's either got to be like favoritism or something. I don't know. I don't know if Jake Paul is like handing these people so much money because we know how much money this guy's got for being a YouTube success. I mean, he's doing it's something funny. There's no way that there should be Jake Paul winning this fight. Realistically, there should be no way Jake Paul. And plus, this is like a 3-year fight in the making. We've been waiting for this fight for 3 straight years. These guys were supposed to fight about 4 times already, and it's been canceled. So this fight has been building up for Tommy Fury so much that I think Tommy Fury is going to come out probably within the first 3 rounds and just throw straight hard punches at Jake Paul, and Jake Paul is not going to take it.
Question: is it a bad look on boxing that just because Jake Paul does have a large following that you give him this type of match so quick, so early on, rather than other boxers who have to fight, climb, and tooth and nail up the rankings just to get that type of fight? For example, let's take your boy Roberto Duran Jr. He's not getting these kinds of fights. He's having to work his way up through the ranks like everybody else in the world. And we all know the celebrity status of his father. But even with that being said, he's still working his way up through the rankings, up through the process of boxing, professional boxing. Then you get a guy like Jake Paul, who just because he's got a great YouTube following, automatically clicks and gets this type of ranking or this type of fight. I think to me it's not a good look on boxing. But
it's not a good look on boxing, Jay. But if you really look at it, it's a good look for a way for boxing to bring in money.
Because
everything always considers with money. Jake
Paul.
Paul being his YouTube succession. What were you saying, Chris?
I was just going to say Jake Paul in this fight's actually the bigger draw than what Tommy Fury is. And for boxing, more people are going to watch the fight because it's Jake Paul than they are Tommy Fury. And Tommy Fury, Jay, he's been around boxing his whole life, but he only has like 6 or 7 professional fights.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I mean, I get that. He's 8-0. I think he's got 4 knockouts. I mean, I saw his record. So you're right. You're right. I mean, I understand that.
But I agree with you that Jake is getting opportunities that other guys don't just because of his name.
Right. You know, I just remember back in the day when we really took boxing seriously. You know, I mean, you know, back in the days of, you know, Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler. I'm using those guys because of that weight class. Maybe even, you know, Floyd Mayweather back in the early days. You know, when he fought Manny Pacquiao, great guys like that. And then you got, you know, Lennox Lewis's, Muhammad's, you know, when we really looked at boxing as, you know, this great, magnificent sport. And now when I look at boxing, it just looks like a bunch of watered down BS because we don't have what boxing had back in the day. I feel like boxing has really taken some steps back. And I don't know if that's because of the emergence of MMA and bare knuckle and all the other, you know, things. Now you got slap boxing coming out. Yeah, I don't know if that's just what's, you know, chewing away at it, and maybe boxing is just outdated. I don't know.
What I think hurt boxing was years ago. You started getting where the judging was so bad that a lot of people got to where they thought boxing was fixed, so they quit paying the big money for pay-per-views. And that's another thing that could happen with this. Like Frankie is saying, if Jake Paul wins this fight, there's going to be people that say that this fight was fixed.
Right.
So yeah, he's going to bring in a lot of money for boxing, but you could also get some of your hardcore boxing fans to quit maybe watching because they start believing that it's fixed again.
I mean, truly, the best thing for boxing, I get to y'all's point where Jake Paul does bring in the money and things like that. But the best thing for boxing is for Fury to win and for Paul to lose. I think, like you said, if Paul wins, you know, people are going to start questioning the legitimacy of boxing.
Reports are Fury's been breaking his sparring partner's jaws in sparring sessions. So
that's good. He needs to break Jake Paul's jaw. I'm serious. I hope he just breaks that jaw and shatters it into 1,000 pieces. That's the problem, though, because Jake Paul doesn't have a fear of quote unquote real professional boxing. He thinks he can just go in there and, you know, compete with these guys like he's on the same level as these guys. And truth be known, he hasn't really fought anybody to think of to be on that level. So I really do. For the sake of the sport, I want Jake Paul to get his ass bell rung. I really hope that happens. I really do. I'm too ecstatic.
I want my boy Robert Durant Jr. to call out Jake Paul. I really do.
Yeah.
Jake Paul cannot handle my boy Robert Durant Jr.
The only downside I don't think that would ever happen is I think Jake Paul has too much weight on him.
Jake Paul has more weight on Robert Durant Jr., but Robert Durant Jr.'s hands has more weight than Jake Paul.
Oh, no, I get it. I just think for that sport to happen, either he's going to have to drop weight or Robert's going to have to put on weight. One of the two, if they want that fight to happen.
And we asked him before when he was on Unscripted. We asked him about Jake Paul. He even said to us, he'll give Jake Paul the hands. I think he'll knock Jake Paul out within the second round, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because I always say skill, you know, can carry a lot of weight too. So, yeah. Absolutely. I just think Jake Paul he definitely needs a reality check. He is in desperate need of a reality check.
Both him and his brother, Jay. Both them and his brother. Because let's be realistic. When Logan Paul had that exhibition fight with Floyd Money Mayweather, it comes out as a draw. When the hell have you ever seen Floyd Money Mayweather in a draw? The man is 50-0, 51-0 if I'm not mistaken. And you're gonna give him a draw with Logan Paul?
Yep. And if you want to be honest, when Jake Paul fought Tyron Woodley, Jake Paul lost that fight. They gave it to Jake. And Tyron Woodley ain't no boxer. Yeah, he was a UFC fighter, but he was known more for his wrestling and takedowns and ground and pound than he was his stand up.
It's just ridiculous.
Hell, I thought
it's just ridiculous. Seriously, it's just because this man's a YouTube succession that they know that they can get money out of him, and the only way to get money out of him is having him win these fights.
And that's the part where I was coming from. I just think, the people like Jake Pauls of the world that are doing this, I get it. It does bring money to the sport of boxing, what have you. But man, it at the same time of bringing money to it, it also kind of waters it down really, really bad.
Yep. Especially in a sport like boxing that you've already had people accuse you of being fixed in the past, it kind of makes you kind of got to watch what you do, because you're trying to build that reputation. If you're trying, to try to build that sport back up and get your reputation back.
Right.
So I quit watching boxing a lot because I watched a fight and I can't remember who he was fighting, but Evander Holyfield fought and he got his ass whooped the whole freaking fight. And it went to
by the way, good use of the word freaking. See, that's what we got to do, Chris. We got to continue to, uphold the standard here.
And it went to the judges, and they gave the fight to Holyfield. And I quit watching boxing for years because of that. It's like that had to be fixed. I mean, and that's something that even in the UFC they got to watch. With some of the judges' decisions that have came out over the last couple of years is. You got to fix your judges and your judging system, because if people start believing that the fights are fixed, and it turns people away.
It does. And that's what I was saying. It's kind of a blessing and a curse to boxing. It's a blessing because Jake Paul will bring the money, but it's a curse because, for the love of God, it just waters it down to a point where. But he can't win. He cannot win. If he wins, it's going to kill boxing.
They said the winner of this fight is going to get ranked.
Yeah. I just think Jake Paul is just not good for boxing.
He's a joke. He's a joke. Honestly, the man carries around his own title that's not even boxing worthy. You carry around a title because you can't win an actual real boxing title. Realistic.
Yeah, and he does that for publicity. That's how Jake Paul gets his money, is by publicity. Frankie, we all know that. The more attention he gets, the more followers he gets, the more money he gets off of all that. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's not even about the sport. It's just about the publicity at this point.
You all right, Chris?
Yeah, but I'll be back in just a second.
I think Scrappy must have got him in the what.
And it looked like a back problem.
Hey, Scrappy either got him or he tweaked left when he should have tweaked right.
Yeah, I think he tweaked his back out for a minute. Hopefully, he didn't pull no stitches out.
Man, listen, I'm telling you, man. Jeez Louise, man.
Can't be that old and twisting your body like that, Jay. This isn't Greece, all right? You can't be doing stuff like that.
So what are we looking at, Frankie, man, with baseball, man? Like, are you excited to see your boys get out there, your minor league prospects get out there and show what they can do?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I can't wait to see these boys go out tomorrow and play, especially the pitching situation, because we got to build up our rotation for the bullpen. So I'm really excited to see some of these pitchers go at it. I'm also excited to see some of these young prospects, Anthony Volpe. I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to see Oswaldo Cabrera come out and show his dominance. Also Oswald Cabrera, it's gonna be a good one. We also got Harrison Bader playing in center field. But I'm expecting to, they're gonna do something with the outfield to where we can have a dominant left field position. I've been hearing multiple reports that there'll be some games where we'll see Giancarlo Stanton take up Aaron Judge at the right field and put Aaron Judge at left. So Aaron Judge has been playing at left field a lot this spring training already. So I've been expecting a lot of different scenarios with the outfielding and of the Yankees. So I'm really excited. I can't wait to see these guys play. I'm more excited that baseball's back, honestly, Jay. I mean, I understand it's spring training, but baseball is back, man. And I'm just excited. This is like literally this baseball was the first sport that I have ever watched growing up as a kid. Being grown up and raised in Brooklyn, New York, living at my grandparents' house when I was really young, because my mom didn't have the money and anything like that with my dad to get their own apartment yet. So we lived with my grandparents, and my grandfather being a diehard Yankee fan, we just grew up watching the Yankees so much. So that was my first sport watching as a kid growing up, and I'm just excited. I'm just excited to watch baseball.
I think specifically, especially for you in New York, you guys really need to see what you got in those minor league pitching prospects that you got. I think you had like 12 of them. You need to see who can really anchor down that middle rotation for you guys. I think if I'm you, Frankie, that's really the part of spring training that I mostly would like to see is those minor league prospecting pitchers, what they have and what you can benefit off of at that middle relief.
Oh, no doubt. And I think that's what the Yankees and Aaron Boone are also thinking as well. That's why we have more pitchers in this spring training season right now than we did last year. And we have more pitchers this year in spring training than any other position throughout our entire roster. Like you said, we have about 12 pitchers. We have about 12 pitchers prospecting for a job, especially for middle relieving, and the rest of everywhere else we have about maybe 8 or less that are looking for jobs. So I'm really focused, just like Aaron Boone, to see who's good enough to end up become Yankee in the rotation throughout this year. Because let's be real, we need to get a good bullpen in order to to make it to the World Series and actually win a World Series. Because the only way to get there is having a good bullpen and hopefully surpassing the Houston Astros. That's our only biggest test right there is the Houston Astros. We know we could beat any other team in the AL. But the one team that's been stopping us lately has been the Houston Astros, and I think that's where the focus on is for the Yankees and for Aaron Boone, is to beef up this rotation to where we can better ourselves and get ready to try and defeat the Houston Astros. But then again, Jay, you have the bigger target than anybody else because you're the defending World Series champion. You guys have a major target where everybody's going to want to come in and try to dethrone the defending champions.
Yeah, we definitely got a couple of things to deal with, I think, in spring training. Number one, Lance McCullers now he is slotted to be the third in the rotation, but looks like he's going to miss a couple of months possibly. So for McCullers, he always has issues with injuries, man. It's always these little silly injuries that keep him out. So, but at the same time, I look at it as a blessing in disguise because on that number 3 spot, or even 4 or 5, wherever they want to decide to put him, I think it's going to give Hunter Brown that opportunity to crack the rotation and finally see what he really and truly has. I'm excited about this kid, man. Like I said, he went 2-0. He gave us, I think, around 38 innings, but he had a .86 ERA with a 1.03 or 04 WHIP. So I'm really kind of curious to see what this kid really has. We've only seen a small sample size of him. So I really am kind of curious as if Lance McCullers being out with injury, is that going to be the blessing to see what we have in Hunter Brown? And that really is, for me, the biggest testament for the Astros is giving Hunter Brown the opportunity to showcase, number one, what he has. And number two, we got to look at Michael Brantley. He's looking like he's going to make the season on time, be good to go, but he's still dealing with a little bit of issue, but not much. And then we got Yordan Alvarez, who's got a little bit of swelling in his hand. They expect him to be just fine at the start of opening season. But those are some of the things, that I'm curious to see in spring training as they unfold, how that comes about. More specifically, though, the Hunter Brown situation. I want to see hope, I want to see a lot of him in spring training, and hopefully he cracks that rotation and gets us going.
I think you'll see it. You'll see quite a bit of the younger guys in spring training this year because of the World Baseball Classic as well.
True. That's a good point. That is a good point.
I want to ask you, Jay. Now, is this smart this year for the Michael Brantley as a DH and having Yordan Alvarez start a lot of games on left field?
I think if it were me, if it was me in this, I can't speak for Dusty. Dusty's going to do what Dusty does. But if it was me, I'm going to have Yordan Alvarez in left field and Michael Brantley DHing on the home games because of that short porch. I think he'll be fine. But I would definitely switch it and have Brantley in left field and Yordan as the DH on the away games where you have a much larger left field to cover, especially since the shift has gone away and you no longer have the shortstop, covering part of that left field for Alvarez. So I think if Dusty's smart, he'll maximize those guys and use them in that way, and I think we'll be okay. Which is really why I wish we would have gotten Benintendi as an insurance policy, but Astros do what Astros do.
Trust me, Jay, I wish the Yankees to re-sign Benintendi as well, but Benny didn't want to sign the contract the Yankees were giving him. He just wanted to get more money. So whatever, we'll find a replacement. Always do.
Where he wound up going? Did he wind up going to the Royals that he went to?
No, he went to the White Sox.
Hell,
the White Sox. Okay.
I just wish the Cincinnati Reds would have made a move during the offseason.
Gonzo's like anything would have been great. The Royals got Aroldis Chapman. I think they got him at around $3.5 million.
Yeah.
And I think if he cracks the rotation as a starter, I think it goes from 3.5 to 8.5. I think million for him. So
they're not going to try to use him as a starter, are they?
Oh yeah,
no. He'll be the closer.
He's going to be the
okay.
Yeah, he's going to be the starting closer. Okay. Yeah.
Well, say,
but they're not going to give him the $8 million. If the Royals don't designate him as the closer, then he'll stay around the $3 million. So it depends.
I was gonna say he ain't been a starting pitcher since early in his career.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Man.
He's not the same guy that he was.
Well, when he first came in the league, he was 104 miles an hour. I think last year he was hitting around the mid 90s. I mean, he's lost some velocity on his fastball.
I've seen him throw 105 live.
Yeah,
and
he ain't throwing that anymore, Chris. He's down below 100 right last year. He was below 100, which is why I think Frank couldn't be wrong. But for you guys, he was giving you around a 4.3 or 4.4 average or ERA.
That was the fastest pitch I'd ever seen in person. Go ahead, Frankie.
Last year, his ERA was about up to sixes, Jay. His
was
ERA
it in the?
was
I thought it was in the fours, but it was in the sixes.
And that's why Clay Holmes. Yeah, because that's why Clay Holmes ended up taking his spot because Clay Holmes was actually pitching under 2 ERA when within the first couple of months of the season.
How do you feel about Clay Holmes being your closer this year? Are you solid in that? Or do you have thoughts on it?
No, I'm solid with Clay Holmes. I still think Clay Holmes is that dude. He was just dealing with arm problems towards the end of the season. But let's be realistic. All pitchers do, especially when you're dominating in the first half of the season. The second half is always going to probably take a toll on you, especially after that All-Star break. When you take a couple of days off from pitching a lot. So I feel real comfortable. And if we don't, we have other pitchers that can take his place. We got Jonathan Loaizaga. We got Wandy Peralta, who actually showed out last year. Both of those guys to where they can prove to be a closer or even come in the 8th inning to dominate and probably a couple of outs in the 9th. I feel real comfortable with our closing situation. But
okay.
I wouldn't be mad if the Yankees went and got a second closer just in case Clay Holmes get injured or something like that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Again, that's the only. If I'm a Yankees fan, that would be my concern is that middle relief and that closer. Everywhere else, I think you're fine, but that middle relief and closer, that would be the two areas of concern that would have me the most, and that's why hopefully maybe in spring training with those 12 pitchers, maybe you can find somebody in there that can either bolster your closer or bolster that middle relief, because I think those are the two areas where you really, really need the most help. Everywhere else, I think you're okay, but those would be your two areas. Like for us, I guarantee you, for us, I know for a fact, catcher, left field, those are our two biggest areas, because I don't know, is Maldonado going to be able to go a whole season? If not, if he needs breaks, how's Corey Lee and them going to fare at that catching position? Not so much on the offensive side, which they do have issues at the offensive side as well. But with Corey Lee and Diaz, I believe was that third spot, it's going to be the game calling that I'm going to be worried about, and maybe even them getting the ball to second base like Maldonado did. So I think it's going to be defensively, game calling. Those are things that kind of worry me about Corey Lee, because we haven't seen enough of Corey Lee to really be able to know how he's going to be. And since we don't have Vasquez backing up Maldonado now, we're going to rely heavily on Corey Lee when Maldonado needs a break. And so for us, for me at least, that kind of worries me a little bit. But we'll see what we have in spring training, I would imagine.
What worries me about the Reds is
Chris, Chris, tell me a little bit about your Reds.
I like our pitching staff.
Guys, and we are done for the day. Let's go with final thoughts.
That was a good one.
Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Our pitching, we do have a good. I think our starting pitching is going to be good this year. We got a lot of young guys that started to. I think we're going to have their breakout seasons this year. Kind of started to come in their own last year, and then I think our biggest weakness is going to be hitting. Though we got rid of all our bats last year, so I think scoring runs is going to be our biggest problem. We got a good closer in Diaz. He was a rookie last year, came in, done real good. I think look for him to even be better this year. But our middle relief and our hitting are the two big concerns for me for the Reds.
Damon asks, what teams y'all most scared of this season? I'll be honest with you. A lot of people would say the Yankees, or a lot of people say maybe Toronto, whatever. But, for some reason, the Astros always gear up pretty well for the teams in other divisions, more so than we do for teams in our own division. And believe it or not, the Angels really gave us fits for some reason, and Seattle at certain points gave us fits. So I'm really more concerned. And now that those Rangers have bolstered their rotation the way they have, I think it's going to be teams in our own division that would have me the most nervous, because for some reason we just typically struggle with those types of teams more so than we do with teams in other divisions. And Frankie, I don't know how you look at it for your team, or Gonzo for the Reds, but that for the Astros, it just seems to be our own damn division.
No, yeah, I agree. For the Yankees, it's got to be their own division as well. I think the one team that's going to start scaring us in our division is the Baltimore Orioles. Everybody's forgetting the second half of last year, how amazing they looked. And I expect these guys to carry it on this year. They have a young talent. They have a good bullpen. They got good hitters. So I think the Baltimore Orioles are the one team that I'll be scared of. But I'm not really that scared of them. I just, it's just that I think the Baltimore Orioles are going to end up being a playoff team in our division.
If I'm going for the Reds, everybody. If I'm going for just teams that I think that could be good this year, AP took one of mine would be Cleveland, just because of how good a season they had last year, and they were the youngest team in baseball. And with a coach like Francona, I think they're going to be better this year. And then Seattle's a team which Jay mentioned I think could be dangerous. Rangers I think are going to be more dangerous this year than what they've been in the last few years with the moves that they've made. But yeah, Cleveland's a team that I really like. I was big fans of theirs last year as just a team to watch play, just because they're a bunch so young, and so I think they could be a dangerous team there in the American
Get
League.
out of here, Cleveland. Get out of here. We're their daddies over there.
Get out of here.
Maybe it says the Phillies.
Well, with the addition of Trey Turner, and I know they did bolster that middle relief a little bit with the pitchers I think they got from the Mets. Phillies are going to make some noise, no doubt about it. Don't look past San Diego and don't look past the Mets. I mean,
yeah, you're right.
Chicago Cubs.
Yeah.
The Cubs.
Don't look past Chicago Cubs either. Don't tell Mike Hughes I said that. Though. I don't want to inflate his ego right now.
How do you try to tell us not to tell Mike Hughes that when it's live right now, he can just come on the show and watch it and replay it?
That's just a joke of it. Of course, he's going to know about it. That's what I'm trying to tell him. I know Mike Hughes' ego is going to get inflated already when we mention Cubs.
You still got that Yankees avatar, Jay?
No, sir. So, whoever screwed me over, I did eradicate it and fix it. It is
so
now.
You switched teams again?
You switched teams on us again, Frank? You shut your mouth. You shut your mouth. Everybody knows damn good well who my team is. I have never wavered, sir. Never, not once.
Hold on. We're going to need to get that out because we don't condone cheater teams in this.
Well, then you better get your own damn team out of there.
We're gonna have to get them out and move on.
Hey, listen, I will block your ass.
I know why you can't. I know why Jay did that. Jay put a Houston Astros logo in there to try and do what I did to him, and it's not gonna work, sir.
Hey, you know what though? This is how you know what Frankie was saying about me is all wrong. I had to ask Frankie how to put an avatar in there. Now, if I don't even know how to put the avatar in there, how the hell would I have put a damn avatar in? How long did I ride with Gonzo's avatar because I didn't know how to change the damn thing? So come on, let's use a little common sense here.
No, what he's saying, Jay, is when you change yours, it changes it for everybody. So like Frankie probably checked before he got on to make sure that he wasn't going to have the Houston avatar.
Oh, did he do that? Oh, okay. Yeah, look, Frankie, you're such an a-hole.
That was like
why am I an a-hole? I didn't do that.
What I have a Buffalo Bill. I had the Buffalo Bills one that Frankie had made the other day. I was like, oh shit, I better change that.
Freaking Frankie, man. I love Frankie though. Don't get me wrong, man. But Frankie, he's a real a-hole sometimes. I don't even know how you did that, but I'll tell you what, man. I see how you did it. Oh, I see how you did it.
No, what happens, Jay? Like that's why, like a lot of times when you get on here and it'll throw up my picture. If somebody changes it, for some reason it changes it for everybody. So I actually check mine.
Hey, all I know is, you know what? I'm telling you, man, power is and education is everything, man. The minute you know how to do things, it really does open up doors.
Yeah, it really does open up doors. Let's get the final thoughts and let's close this out before something changes.
Let's get the final thoughts. Jerry, you gonna show your face?
I had to fix my damn name first. Shit.
I was trying to get his face on there, Frankie. That way it wouldn't have the Houston Star.
Hey, I had to fix my damn name. Frankie done been jacking with my name.
That's why I was trying to get you to put your face up there, so then he could have got a screenshot that didn't have the Houston Star, but had your face with the "I love New York."
Yeah, I know. Hey, listen. Hey, that's how this team of podcasters works. Hardcore Yankee fan. No, hey, listen, you know what? I'm going to leave it up there because apparently Frankie, that's the only way he can promote his team is by switching other people's shit. That's fine. We're going to let it ride. Hey, folks, man, again, check this out on ASAP mobile app under ASAP Network, ASAP Network, man. Google Play, Amazon, Roku, Bet Us, all that stuff we're affiliated with. Check us out. And make sure you check out Unscripted on TikTok at Unscripted Sports, all one word, and Twitter at Unscripted Guys, all one word. And again, man, I love you guys, man. It's been a hell of a good time, man, hanging out with you guys today.
Frankie, you got any final thoughts?
No, man, I'm just ready to watch some spring training baseball today, and I can't wait to start this weekend and watch the Yankees play tomorrow. I know it's not regular season yet, but whenever baseball's on, I get excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'll try to watch a little bit of the Reds this weekend in between my wrestling show on Sunday and son of a bitch.
I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to laugh, but I just seen your name, man.
But tonight at 8:00 we'll be doing a watch party and live reaction for the BKFC 36. So if you're a fight fan, come join us for that tonight. See, tomorrow really nothing going on. Sunday 3 p.m. Eastern, live streaming Warrior Pro Wrestling 18. So come join us for that. Should be a great card. Some of the guys that we've had on in interviews, like Dutch Boy Platinum and Logan Myers, Jared Kripke, a lot of those guys that we've had on for interviews will be on this show. So it should be a fun one. But other than that, join us Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern for another episode of the ASAP Afternoon Blitz. And then, like Jay said, check no unscripted till Tuesday, right?
Yeah, we're gonna. I got me a little afternoon date with the wife. So yeah, we'll be back on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern.
ASAP. Unscripted Tuesday at 7 Eastern. Check out the ASAP Network app, Roku, and Android at Google Play Store and on the Amazon. You can get it on your Fire Stick. We'll see you guys Monday at 1. Have a great weekend.